Hi everyone, welcome for the Python Behave, Creating Python Behave Test Automation Project Part 2. My name is Mohammed and I'm working as a test automation engineer at Kloya. Today we are going to continue the first session that we have created a base project for test automation that we have defined some uh, functions such as drivers, web drivers, and we have learned about the behaves, um, how behave works, and how to define step definitions and work with BDD. And today we are going to create our first test scenarios and see how to navigate and how to drive the web browser. And if you have missed the first part, I can give you right now the link for the first half that was in the previous weeks. Here in the comments section, you can see the link for it. And you can follow me in this session with the scenarios. And after this session, you can get back to the first half and create your own project according to it. Now, for the summary to what we have done in the previous part, let's look at the project folder, and I can make myself smaller here so that you can see better. Okay, now removing the banner. Okay. Now, here is our project that we have created earlier. If you remember, we created a driver object here. Sorry. Now, this driver object is created at the start of every scenario, and this is controlled by the environment file that defines the before and after hooks for the scenarios. I mean, when you run a scenario, first the before scenarios block is executed, and inside of it these whole functions are executed. Then, as you can see, that we are calling the driver get driver function from the driver file, which is defined here, and these gets the variables from the base config. This is inside of the behave ini, which you can see that these are for the default values of behave, and these are the user defined values. And we did define browser and headless options in the first half of our guideline. And here you can see that browser is by default is Chrome, and headless is defined as false. When you run the browser with headless mode on, if it is true, then you don't see any browser goes up. It's all run in the background. And then we have seen what behave gives us, what the means of to write our test scenarios and handle the data. We did some examples here, and we have seen the step definitions, how to define them here as well. Now we are going to continue with page object model. We are going to talk about page object model, behavior-driven development, which we have seen earlier, but I will give a brief summary as well to remember what we have covered. Then we are going to create our test scenario and see how to handle these Selenium functions and how to use them in Behave. Now, as you have seen, there are several folders here. In page object model, we need to define every element of a web page inside of specific files that only contains that specific pages, functions, and elements. Let's look at the example here. This is our company's website, and this is the main page, homepage. And there are several elements in here that you can see, such as the banner, tabs, and some buttons here, and some information labels, and different kind of buttons existing here as well. And you can see these are also linked texts, so you can navigate from clicking on them. So the main idea is, when you create a web page inside your test automation project, I mean, when you create a file that corresponds to a specific web page, you just only need to write down the specific elements, such as buttons and tab buttons or other things, and also the functions about them, clicking on them, giving them some input information if there are any input fields on that page. These should reside the corresponding page so that you can find it easily and navigate inside the project whenever you want to use these objects, or to create new functions, or write down new step definitions according to them. It is easier to understand the structure of the web page, and also easier to navigate between them, and collaboration also becomes easy when more than one person works on the same project. You can easily figure out which object is where. So this is the main idea. Let's check another example. When I click on the company, you can see that there's navigators here. And also, if you see that whenever I change go to another page, there is a specific tab here that is not changed at all. So this is also another part of the page object model. If a page, or like a navigation bar or something like that, stays and reachable from everywhere, you can put them in a specific page. You can name it like base page, uh, or another thing, but it should give you the idea that it can be reached from anywhere, so that you can use these buttons or elements or functions from inside of the any page. So now I'm going to homepage again, and let's try to write a scenario according to this. Now let's go to our project. Sorry, let me get, I need to, okay. Now let's create a folder inside the feature file directory that is called pages. Now this is the directory that we need to use to create our corresponding files corresponding to specific pages. Let's create another file called home page py. Now inside this file, now I am going to write the elements of this page, and also the functions that is corresponding to these elements. Let's create a class which is named home page. And inside of it, let's create an init function that is simply the constructor method that whenever this class initiated, the first functions that will be initiated with it is this class itself. And let's call our browser first with the self pointer that actually points to this class itself, so that whenever I write this is the attribute of this class, self browser, and this browser should be called from context browser. Now the context browser is the driver that we have defined in the environment file. As you can see that before every scenario, we are initiating a driver instance from here and pointing it to the context.browser, which the context here is can be accessed by from all around the project, since it is the fundamental variable of the Behave framework. And here I am calling the browser size, so it does not see the context. Let's write here the context so it can see it. Now, as you can see, when the home page is created, an instance is created from the home page, we will be able to get the browser here. Now, let's write an element that is pointing to the contact us button first. By clicking the inspect here in your browser, right click, inspect, it gives us the HTML code here, and you can find the specific attributes of the elements. And here you can see that the contact us button here is has the ID of CTA button. Now we are going to write button contact us CSS here, and I will write hashtag symbol in the beginning of the ID. Now let's look at this naming convention. Here, when we are creating a locator selector for the elements for our specific page, we are going to create variables for it. And this variable has some pointers that make us that makes easier to understand which what kind of object is that. Here I can write as a prefix button, which says to me that this specific object is button, so that I can understand when I read the code or someone else comes and tries to use these pre-existing elements, he or she can understand that this is a button and I can use button specific or clickable object specific actions on it. If it is a button, I can click on it. If it is a button, I can, if it is an input, I can send keys on it. If it is a drop down, I can choose some options from it. So when we use these prefixes, it is easier to understand what kind of objects we are dealing with. And at the end of it, we are writing CSS. Since Selenium gives us the options of using CSS selectors or XPath selectors, or you can also giving IDs or class names to Selenium, you can find that element and use specific actions on them. So by as the suffix, we are giving which kind of selector type is that, so that we can use specific Selenium pointers to it when we are using the click element functions. So we will cover that in a short time. And this sharp is how we define IDs in the CSS selectors. So if you don't have any familiarity with CSS selectors, now I can send you a cheat sheet here that can help you. This is a good source that you can find different kind of selectors in there, and you can easily create your own CSS selectors for your specific buttons. Now, sorry. Now let's create a function that clicks on this specific button, and then we are going to create a step definitions and some scenarios according to this. Now let's create def click contact us. Since this is a class specific function here, you need to use self so that it points out this specific class. And then again self, because this is a class attribute here, the browser. So we are reaching our browser here, find element. Sorry. Find element, and we are going to state that which kind of selector we are sending to it by CSS selector here, and also we need to import the by function from the Selenium. Let me see. I always forget how to import it. From Selenium, import by. Sorry for that, a little bit. I'm gonna make you wait a little bit. Now I'm lost inside of the whole project. Sorry for that. Let's first start creating the feature file. Then we can get back to it. Now first create the feature file here that we will create our scenarios according to BDD. Here we can create homepage feature. Now inside of it, we will create our feature definition that is, let's say, homepage related features. And inside of it, we are creating our scenario that will be about clicking on contact button. Let's say that create a contact ticket here. And we are going to write our given step, which is first navigating to Kloya.com. So let's write go to HTTP www.gloya.com. Then let's create a step definition file here by clicking right click, show context definition, create step definition, and then the IDE gives us two option for creating new file. And here you can choose the destination folder for that step. We are going to, we want to create our file inside the directly steps here. So by deleting this, I stated the path, and now I can home steps. Okay. Now, when you click Command B or Control B, if you are using Windows, you can go directly to that step definition folder, which corresponds to these steps. And here you can see that it is created a placeholder function inside of this step, so that when you don't write any step definition inside of these steps, it throws an error that gives this step is not implemented. So now from here, we will use parse option that will gives us the means to use specific variables from the step definitions. So here I will delete this site, and in the curly bracelets write the website URL. So this become a variable that can be cast into here, and that can be called from or pass into the other functions. So and I will call the homepage as a object, so that I can use these functions that we have created here inside of this file. So we are making a two steps of abstraction layer. That first we are creating a scenario which abstracts this step definition here, that we are going to write the functions that we created, and here also abstracts these functions here. So there are two layers, and it makes it easier to understand for the people who are not programmers, or who do not write hands-on code, to understand what does this code does by just reading these plain English step definitions. And it is not always have to be in English if the code that you are writing is specific to specific region. You can write it down with Turkish or German or different languages. So it is not actually cast into code. It is parsed with regular expressions behind the scenes, or some kind of string manipulation motors. So now I am importing from features the homepage, from features, pages, homepage, and import as homepage. Now I can call the homepage like this, and I am going to send the context inside of the homepage, since it takes the context from here as a variable from here, and we need that context for creating defining our browser as a class variable. So now I am sending the context inside the homepage, and I can reach the click contact us function inside of here. But sorry, we are going to use actually going to website function. So let's create that one. Here inside the home page, we can create def visit website, which takes a variable, an argument website here. And we can here use browser get website. So this actually, when you send a URL inside of this function, it goes to website with the browser get method. Get method is for Selenium's navigating method. Now, inside of this file, we can call the visit website function and send the website URL inside of this function. So this makes us to navigate different parts of different URLs by just changing this site here. So we make this field a dynamic one. Whenever we want to navigate to different websites, it is just we just need to change this specific URL, and it will go to that website by parsing that to a variable and giving it to the Selenium's get function. Now let's see if it goes to that page. It gives the error of because we haven't give a correct information. Now, as you can see, that it goes to there and opens the driver, goes to that specific website, and after it navigates and the page fully loads, it closes the web browser. If you want to test it like that and see if sometimes it's so fast when you execute consecutive steps, it becomes so fast, it happens so fast, so you cannot understand what's going on. You can write sleep here for debugging reasons, and you can see that if it make that step correctly or not. Now we added the times step. Now when I run this, it will wait for 5 seconds, then it will close up. The sleep function is Python's integrated functions, one of the integrated functions that you can call it from the time. And you can use it for this kind of debugging options. So let's write a different step right now, which after we navigate to this URL, now we want to click on this contact us button. Now let's write when click contact us button on home page. Now there is a specific naming convention here that we also follow. When you are writing a step definition, it would be great if you write at the end of the step definition in which page you are working on. I mean, when you are clicking contact us, it is on the home page, so it is easier for people to understand this to understand that which page this step is executed on. So let's create this one as well in the home steps. Now, as we created the steps, file, it gives us the suggestion that you want to create your steps inside of either one of these. So I'm choosing the home steps, then I can go there by Command B. And now you're seeing that it gives and placeholdered step definition. And when you look at the tags here, that at given, at when, it's actually creates them automatically, but when it is like specific when, given, or then, you cannot use them with different kind of keywords. For example, this is created. Normally, when I can write, it shows us that the predefined step definitions as a suggestion. But if I want to write it with then, it throws this kind of not implemented error here. So in order to bypass this issue, you need to change these tags to step, which enables us to use any keywords that we want to use. As you can see that the error has been gone. So this is another trick that you have to worry about. Now, let's write the by ID implementation of this step definition. Now let's go to website here and click contact us. Function should be defined. Now we have imported by. As you can see in Selenium, we go to WebDriver, then common, and then by, and import it as by here, which actually gives us the means of specifying the selectors inside these Selenium functions. Here we use find element, and it will be using the CSS selector here. When we go to the definition of the by here, you can see that there are different types of selectors, which is ID, XPath, link text, name, tag name, etc. But most of them are actually converted to CSS selector behind the scenes. I mean, you can use IDs as selectors, and you can, for example, define it like that. I mean, this one as ID, and you can delete this hashtag. So it's become the Bayer naming of the ID, and you can send it to Selenium like by ID. And it uses this one. But behind the scenes, when we go to when we go to find element function here, you can see that these IDs by IDs or by class names, by names, are actually cast into, with the F string, cast into the CSS selectors. I mean, you can use ID, but it is converted to CSS selector convention. So it does not gives us any we do not gain any speed or something like that. Usually the IDs found faster than the other selectors. But here, since it is cast into the CSS selector, there isn't anything to gain by it. So if you start to use different selectors and writing them down here, in my opinion, it will just create a confusion, because there will be many different selector types, and you should every time you should choose and use the correct selector type here by using the by function. So my suggestion is just whenever you write a selector, try to use a CSS selector because it is always cast into a CSS in the background anyways. So here I am going to write by CSS selector, and I am going to call this button variable here. Now I can call this function from our step definitions. Now I am going to use the context again inside of it because it should be able to use the browser variable. And I am calling to click contact us. Let's try to put sleep inside of here so that we can see it actually clicks or not, because it's usually it shuts down fast. Now let's see. When the page fully loads, we are expecting for it to click on this one. It didn't click because I forgot to write a click function here. It just found the element, but we didn't use any action on it. So inside at the end of this object, the thing is, Selenium, when finds an element, it returns an WebDriver object. So on that WebDriver object, you can use specific actions. So it is possible for us to use a click option, a click function on this WebDriver object which Selenium found, just ending click function at the end of it. Let's try again. Now you can see that the form has opened up. So let's continue with creating new steps and generating new functions for them. Now, when we click on the contact us, we see that there are different fields in here. And now we need to insert some information into these input fields. Now for inspecting it, just right click on the element and try inspect. And here you can see that the input field's ID is something like that. Now I am copying this one and going to homepage, and here writing txt name CSS. Now, since it was an ID, I will write the hashtag symbol, and then I will use the ID here, just like this. Why did I use the txt formation? It gives us the idea of this is an input field, and it will take a text. You can use send keys function on them. So it gives us the idea of that, yeah, I can use send keys function in this object. So let's write another function for that. Sorry. Okay. Let's say field name field. Sure. Let's write value here so that we will get the value, and it will take this value as variable and send this value into this field. Now self browser find element again by CSS selector, and self name CSS, And this time we are going to use send keys function. And which keys it will send? It will send the value that it's going to get from the step definitions that we will define. So this function is ready. Now let's go to feature file and write another step definition step, which says fill name input with let's say Muhammad on homepage. Now I'm going to create a step definition for it in the home steps. And as you can see, when I just create this step, it shows Muhammad as white with the rest of the text. So it is not become a variable yet. I mean, in the given step, we are seeing that kloya.com is blue. So whenever I change it to, let's say, google.com, it will go to google.com because it's going to be parsed to it. But here it is not a variable yet. Let's change it to a variable. What we need to do is just use curly bracelets here and say, write the name of the variable. Let's say it's as a name. Then add it to the step implementations bracelets here as a name. So it's become a variable. Now I can use it inside of my function. Let's call the function here name field with what? With name. So now you can see that Muhammad has become blue. So we can now send the Muhammad as a variable inside the function. So let's try to run it again. We got an error here. Let's see. By CSS selector is not defined. There was a syntax error. I shouldn't use underscore, but dot here. Okay, and I am going to delete this slip from here since it is not important anymore, but we can put it here right now. Let's run it again. Another error. Let's see. Unable to locate elements with CSS selector. Let's check it up again. Text name CSS. It can find it. I just want to run again because sometimes it gives this kind of errors. Does it change every time? It might be a dynamic one here. I just want to check if I open it up. It's not a dynamic one. It might be related to wait times. I mean, sometimes when elements clicked on elements, it does not show up immediately. There might be some loading times or etc. And after before it fully loads, if you try to find an element, it can throw some errors. Now let's try to put 2-second sleep here and then try again. No, it's not about the sleep time. It does not find the element. There might be something wrong with the functions that I have written, or about the selector here. Let's put a breakpoint and see if it's a different one or not. Sorry. Now let's check it inside this WebDriver object. Another tip for inspecting the objects. As you can see, if you open this web page, the inspector on the right hand side of the website, it's sometimes some websites has responsive UI, so it becomes like mobile version or mobile like appearance. So in order to eliminate that, because it can interfere with some tests like objects types or CSS style might change. So in order to bypass that, by clicking the three dot here, you can use the put this inspector the bottom side. So it's like a full web page right now. Now let's check again. Here I am going to check if this one is the same. It is actually same. Now I am wondering why it does not find the value. Here you can evaluate some expressions here. Let me first check if it works here or not. Okay. Another tip for the JetBrains IDE, you can, when you are debugging, you can click on the debugger menu here and use the evaluate expression. It gives a console-like tool to you, and you can run your Python code inside of it so that you can see the outputs immediately. So now we are going to debug this. Now we are self-browser find element by CSS selector, and we are trying to find this element, and it throws error again. Sorry for that. Let's try to find that with different selector. Let's write name attribute as, what was it, first name? Yes, first name, and try to write input here. Second one. It is like a I'm not sure why it does not work, but let's try another field. Then we can check that if it is about the codes or like the locator. Now I'm changing it with the last name, and we can use the evaluate again here. Sorry. This is like the fundamentals of writing code. You write 2 lines and debug 2 times usually. And I would like to write it here, this field. Okay, let's see if it finds it. It does not locate it. Well, it does not locate. I don't know why, actually. Sorry for that. We actually covered many things here that I would like to summarize everything that we have covered so far before closing this session. And one of them was creating scenarios with different variables here that you can pass some variables into it, and you can use them by changing them in different scenarios. Like when you create a step definition that takes some specific variables, I mean, you can use it in such as like, let me write another scenario. Go to, let's say, Google. This is scenario's name, and you can write go to step with in different scenarios. So it makes it easier to create functions that you can use in different scenarios. And the step definitions should be used with parse mode that actually gives us this curly bracelet usage. If you use it with regular expression mode, which we covered in the previous session, here, let me show you. You need to use regular expression naming convention, which can be a little bit hard. So I suggest you to use parse option whenever you can. And we also make an abstraction with page creation. So you can create specific functions for specific page and call them from these step definitions. So it's really makes it easier to navigate when your project becomes more and more complex. And it is easier for people who are not a programmer to understand what a specific scenario does and with which values. And I think and also we talk about the implementation of Selenium selectors. Like you can specify by ID, by CSS, but it is every time converted into the CSS selector by f strings behind the scenes. So whenever you can, I suggest you to use CSS selectors, since it makes a more uniform project structure. And that is it for this session. If you have any questions other than why it does not find this element, I would like to give you answer your questions. Other than that, we can finish this session as well for today. I think there are no questions. So I wish you a good day, and I hope to see you in next events. Have a nice week and work days. See you.